Alright, we've reached the final in Houston, and this one, it is again very difficult to predict because we have another player who is into his first ATP Tour final of his career. That is Román Andrés Burruchaga from Argentina, and he will be facing the fourth seed Tommy Paul. So, just talking for a minute about the three tournaments that we have going on here: Houston, Marrakesh, and Bucharest. They're all in the final stage. Across the 6 players who reached the final in these 3 tournaments, Tommy Paul is the only one of them who has won a title before on the ATP Tour in his career. All the other 5 players have never won a title in their careers, and 4 of them have never reached a final either. 2 of them, the 2 young Spaniards, Merida, who was in the final in Bucharest, and Hodar, who was in the final in Marrakesh, that is to be expected that they never reached the final because they are very young and just broke onto the scene. But the other ones, actually, Burruchaga, he's not very old either. Has not been very known about. Shungalidi has been in the tour for ages, but he has not been very known. And he has now reached the first final of his career at 36, setting a record. So that is what we have. We have interesting stuff this weekend here in these 3 tournaments. At least 2 of these, we are guaranteed to have at least 2 first-time ATP Tour winners. We guaranteed in both Marrakesh and Bucharest. And we can have 3 first-time ATP Tour winners on Sunday if Burruchaga defeats Paul in this Houston final. So this Houston is the only tournament where thankfully I have predicted both of these matches. I predicted the result of both of these matches correctly, which I did not do in both Marrakesh and Bucharest. I predicted both of the semifinal matches incorrectly in Bucharest and in Marrakesh, but thankfully in Houston I've predicted both of them correctly. So Burruchaga, another Argentine by the way, so all 3 of these finals also have an Argentine in them. The Argentines are really showing us what they're made of here on the clay this season. So Burruchaga, whom I predicted would be in this final, defeated his countryman Tirante in straight sets, exactly like I predicted. Gave him a beatdown, 6-1, 6-1. And he will be facing Tommy Paul, whom I also thought would be in the final, and he is, but he barely won. Basically the exact opposite of Burruchaga's match, which was a destruction. Tommy Paul's match was as close as possible. He won this in a final set tiebreak, 9-7. And it was really good for him to win that after what happened against ATP just recently in Miami, where Paul was up 6-2 in that final set tiebreak and lost 6 points in a row to lose at 8-6. So if he lost this match in a final set tiebreak, which I think he was also up 6-4 in this one, he would have been really depressed after that. So good for him that he won this. But this was not easy at all. I think he was down a break once or even twice in that final set as well. So he barely won this match, but he won, and now he's in the final against Burruchaga. Another first-time finalist, like I have said already. Tommy Paul, he also got mad lucky because he had not 1, but he had 2 points in that final set tiebreak where he got horrible bounces that worked in his favor, which can happen on clay more often than on hard courts, and maybe even more often than on grass. Although grass has its fair share of bad bounces as well. But he had the first one, he was down 3-2 in the tiebreak, and then he got a terrible bounce that just bounced super high that Tiafoe could not return it. It just bounced. It just bounced like a super ball, and then he had a second bad bounce at 7-all in the tiebreak, and this one, instead of bouncing super high, it didn't bounce at all. So it messed up Tiafoe there at 7-all in the tiebreak. Perfect timing. So that was pretty funny to watch, but you got to feel bad for Tiafoe because he got screwed over terribly. He got two terrible bounces against him in like the most important moments of the match, and one of them was super high. The second one was super low. And this, looking at his face after that second bounce was hilarious. If you haven't watched the highlights of this match, go on YouTube to Tennis TV and look at Houston semifinal highlights. Watch Paul versus Tiafoe. Wait for the 7-7 point in the tiebreak. Actually, watch the whole highlights of the tiebreak because you see the first bounce first. Watch the first horrible bounce that bounced like over his head almost, and that was a 2-3, and then keep watching until he gets to 7-all. And then you'll see the second horrible bounce, which instead of bouncing high, it bounced super low. And then looking at Tiafoe's face after that, he was like, "How is this happening to me?" He was like the face of betrayal. It was like the second time that he had a horrible bounce against him, and he was like, just staring. That was really some funny stuff. So, but tough luck for him, man. And so Paul is through to the final, but I think Paul will actually lose this final in straight sets. I'm going to go with Burruchaga, even though he is not really known at all. He is barely known. But Paul, he has had a much tougher path, even though he had to play one fewer match than Burruchaga. Burruchaga has only lost one set in 5 matches. Paul has lost 2 sets in 3 matches. Oh wait, Burruchaga has only played 4 matches. So he has lost 1 set in 4 matches. Paul has lost 2 sets in 3 matches. So he had an extremely close match also in his first match in this tournament this year, where he was playing Adolfo Daniel Vallejo, some Paraguayan kid, and he won 6-4 in the third, Paul. And then this match was even closer. He won 7-6 in the third, of course, 9-7 in the tiebreak. I don't think he will be that tired because it was just 2 matches, and the first one was it was several days ago. So I don't think he will really be too tired. He's not known for having particularly bad stamina. But I think Burruchaga is just a very solid clay courter. That's how he looks to me. Paul, he has actually had some decent results on the clays. I think he won the Junior French Open. He reached the quarterfinals of the French Open last year before being destroyed by Alcaraz, but still a good result. I think he has reached semifinals in Rome also last year, lost to Sinner. He actually won the first set. I think it was like 6-1 or something like that in that crazy match. He won the first set like 6-1, and then the next 2 sets were like 6-love, 6-3 or something like that. That was a really weird match to watch. So he's not bad on clay, but I don't know, Burruchaga, he seems like a specialist. He seems like a specialist on clay, and he just absolutely destroyed Tirante, who is also a specialist on the surface. So I just feel like he will carry that momentum. Only lost 1 set this week. He's taken out, and get this, he's taking out the 3rd seed Leonard Tien, an American. He's taken out the 5th seed Brandon Nakashima, an American. So what's missing? To complete the set, he will take out the 4th seed Tommy Paul, an American. You can't write the script better than that. So I'm going to go with Burruchaga to win this in straight sets, but If that does not happen, still won't be surprised because again, this one we didn't really have that much to go off either. So all three interesting finals to watch, with 5 guys who are all trying to get their first title. Paul is the only one who has won a title. So this will be fun to see. We will get at least 2 new winners. I think it will be 3, with Burruchaga also defeating Paul. But we shall see. We shall see. It will be fun either way. So looking forward to it. I will have my official prediction: Burruchaga defeats Paul in straight sets in Houston to win his first ATP Tour title of his career.